Alright, I know I've been spending a lot of time on the MT Pro, and not everybody has one, and they're hard to get. So I figured I'd tease you guys with another awesome tool that's kind of hard to get. But as far as snap-on scope accessories go, this is an absolute must-have in my opinion. It's the ADDi by automotivediag.com. I met the guy that builds this tool. He builds them all by hand, so I know he's not keeping up with production. But if you get a chance to get one of these, it's epic. And I'm going to spend probably the next few weeks going through all the functions of this. Hopefully I can get a scent car in here and to demonstrate one of the features. But the main features of the tool are, well, let's turn on the light here and go over it quick, right? So the main features of the tool is tune mode, which allows you to tune into and amplify the specific frequency of the injectors and pumping for the fuel rail pressure sensor on a GDI or diesel direct injected fuel system. So that's a pretty awesome feature. There's other ways to go about that, but this makes it really simple and easy for you. And I'm going to show you a few ways to deal with that when we get to that part of it. But today, what we're going to look at, instead of looking at the tune mode and the scent protocol, which is amazing. These are so awesome that it'll decode scent protocol live into a analog signal that you can watch on your oscilloscope, and that applies to basically everything that's scent protocol that's going to produce some kind of signal. So a scent protocol fuel pressure rail sensor, mass airflow sensor, and all the other ways that they use scent sensors. If you haven't run into that yet, just be patient. They'll show up in your shop eventually. Be prepared for that, because they'll throw you for a loop the first time you see one. And then frequency mode, which is what we're going to cover today. Frequency mode allows you to scope a crankshaft speed sensor signal. In order to use, what it does is it converts it to a frequency signal, so you can see the acceleration event of each firing event during the working cycle of the engine. And it's pretty cool. You can pick out misfires. So if you have a vehicle that's weak on misfire identification, where the scan tool's not going to pick it up, or the misfire counts seem inaccurate, or you just want to verify, or you want a quick way to verify it's fixed without having to hook the scanner back up, this is one of the many ways to do that. But that's what we're going to look at today, is just a misfire detection using the frequency mode and a crankshaft signal. And that's how I have this set up today. So that's what we're going to look at today. I'm going to show you a little bit of the tune mode just for a few seconds when we get there. This is just a quick start guide that runs you kind of through everything. But if you buy one, you spend the money, you'll want to read through that and probably read through the instruction manual too. So I was lucky enough to have a friend lend me this, because I know I'm not going to get one anytime in the next month or two. I think last time I talked to the guy that makes these, he was about a couple months out. So, but luckily I was able to borrow one. This isn't mine, so I'd be super nice to it. But we're going to use this, and then over the next month or two, and then I'll probably send it back to the owner. But I'm going to show you how it works on misfire detection on this Buick. So, first thing is, how are we going to set it up? Well, so it's got an input and an output mode here. So the input is this lead here, and this, like I said, this is set up mostly for snap-on scan or scopes. It'll work on pretty much any oscilloscope, and it does come. So it comes with these regular banana style leads that you can put, clamps and back probes on. And then the nice thing is, the other set of banana leads and they're stackable, so you can stack them into the snap-on scope. And it does come with the charger, another BNC to BNC, so you could use it with like a pico scope, and then an attenuator for VR style crank sensors or higher voltage signals. You're going to need an attenuator in there. So How I have it set up is, obviously I got my ground to ground. I'm back probed at the crankshaft signal at the ignition control module on this car. I have an ignition 1, cylinder 1 sync over here, so channel 1, the yellow channel, is going to be my cylinder 1 sync, and then the green is going to be the output from the ADDi. So what it's doing is it's going to take that crankshaft signal, go through this box, and this box is going to convert it to, it's going to take the signal and apply a frequency math to it, and then it's going to output the frequency of the signal. So you won't actually get to see the crankshaft signal. What you're going to see is the frequency of the signal over time. And because of that, we can determine the acceleration events of each firing event. So, and I'll show you how that is. I know it sounds complicated, but as we go along, it'll start to make sense to you. So, first thing we're going to do is fire the vehicle up. So let's go. Actually, before I do that, Snap-on has a lot of people confused between this and the MT Pro, because you do all your adjustments on the Snap-on with the scope running, and the MT Pro that I've been using every day, you set everything up before you start the scope, and then you start the scope. So this is a little backwards, so forgive me if I make a bunch of silly mistakes, but for now I'm just going to start this, and we're just going to start at 1 second. I'm going to show you how we're going to dial this in to get a good picture of what we want to see. And because we don't know how big our signal is, let's go all the way out to 100 volts, right? So we'll just have it set up like that. I know that's a 12 volt swing on that signal. I believe it's a 12 or a 5 volt swing. I don't remember, but in this case it doesn't matter. So I'm going to go ahead and fire up the car. This car's, I just got this car, so I don't know much about it, but I just want to check it for a misfire. So you can see we have our cylinder event happening. We can see that. This is a 1 second window. So you can see we're seeing 1, 2, 3, I don't know, say 5 or 6, maybe 7 events in a second. So everything's hooked up. So we still have nothing on our green channel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the ADDi on. And that's what it looks like it's on in the green light, according to the instructions here. The green LED is tune mode. And you can see we're seeing something. So let's dial that in just a little. And that looks pretty noisy, right? And the reason that looks so weird is because tune mode is going to AC couple our signal and amplify specific frequencies in order to tune it for the GDI fuel rail pressure sensor or the diesel fuel rail pressure sensor. So that's not very usable, especially on the Snap-on scope, because there's a lot of aliasing. There we go, that's what looks a little better. But that's pretty useless, other than we know we have our signal. So that's good enough for me. So now we're going to put it on the red LED mode, which is mode 4. So we're going to push this button 4 times. So that's 1, 2, 3. Oh no, 3, right? Yeah, because we're going to push the button 3 times to get to the 4th mode. So now you can see there's a little bit of something going on there, but we have to get closer to our 0 to see it, because again, it's still AC coupled. So let's go down to 2 volts. There. And now we can see each acceleration event, but it's still pretty hard to see, right? So let's make it a little easier. Let's go up to our setup. We're going to turn our trigger on, and we're going to go to trace 1 and exit. And now we have our trigger holding it in place, right? You can see what that looks like. The engine's not running the most stable. It's not really warmed up fully yet, but that's what we got. Now, say we just want to see one event, right? So let's go to 200 milliseconds, and that'll get us 1 working cycle. And that's what that looks like. You can see we have some low contributors. This one here especially, right? And I suspect this engine is not the most healthy, so I expect to see that low contributor. And in this case, that low contributor, so the Buick firing order is 165432. So this is 165432. And let's prove that, right? So let's turn our light back on, even though our battery is almost dead. I'm going to come over here. I'm just going to reach down and unplug that injector. Now we definitely have a misfire. So what are we going to look at on this screen? So this is what this looks like now. So this is 165432, and then back to 1. And you can see we unplugged, so this is 1, 3, and 5. And we unplugged cylinder 3. So we know there's a potential for a problem here. You know, we're not, I don't like that. We're not lined up the way we should be, are we? So that is a problem. Let's make sure we're on the right wire. Yep, we're on cylinder 1. And we do have 3 disconnected. So that is weird. I'm pretty confident on that firing order, but let's plug it back in and see what happens. Sorry, my light battery's dying. Alright, so we got her plugged back in. You can see here, well, actually I'll move this over just a little. There. So you can see it come back, but I could have the firing order wrong. I don't think it's 165423. I'm sure it's 165432. So let's try a different cylinder. Maybe 2 is really suffering that bad after 3. But let's unplug 5. See if we can get this to be accurate. This is why we really have to actually play with our tools a little bit in order to have a good idea of how we can use them right or wrong. So here we got 165432, and again it's off by 1. That is weird. Huh. Very strange, because it shouldn't be that way. And clearly it looks like 4 is our problem, but we know that's not the case, so that's kind of concerning. And I'm sure this is the right bank. So you can see here, if we follow this wire all the way up here, this cylinder 1, I know this is 1, 3, and 5. We unplugged 5, and we would expect to see this as the cylinder that's not contributing. So it is off a little bit for some reason. I don't have a good reason for that. So, but for the heck of it, let's just unplug the injector. Oh, sorry about the light. For the heck of it, let's just unplug the injector that's matching our sink here. So, let's do that. Let me make sure we're not picking up another wire, first of all. So, get this one over a little more. I'm going to go ahead and unplug injector number 1. So now number 1 is misfiring. And you can see here that our acceleration event is actually after our firing event by quite a little ways. So you can see we have an offset here. So it's important to understand that this may be the case, that this is cylinder 1, that's 6, that's 5, that's 4, that's 3, that's 2. So this is actually cylinder 2 right above the ignition event for cylinder 1. And because we are running some timing advance there, we're not right at top dead center, and our cylinder contribution is going to happen typically about 20 to 30, maybe even 40 degrees after the firing event. So you can see how much that's off there. That's important to understand so you don't fool yourself and go, what the heck am I looking at? Or you're gonna hook up to the car and go, well, I know that sorry about the light, guys. You're gonna hook up to the car and go, well, I know it's got to be that cylinder, when really you might be one whole cylinder off. And I'm going to show you this again. We're going to go to that back cylinder and unplug cylinder 2 so you can see that even though we have our ignition lead on cylinder 1, this is off. So, and I don't know if it's off because of the time it takes for the tool to analyze this, but we can compare it to the Pico. You know, these injectors are kind of a pain in the butt to get unplugged. So there's injector 2 is off, and we can go back over and you can see our contribution can't happen before our ignition event. So we know this has to be cylinder 2 because the contribution starts here before our ignition event. I hope that makes sense to you. So let's plug that one back in. I know you can't see back here, but here, oh, I can't get you there, but so again, this is why it's very important. I'll put that back on later. That's why it's very important to use your tools, cause problems, and make sure you understand what it is you're looking at. So now we know that this contribution event that's directly over the ignition sink, the contribution starts before the ignition sink starts. So this can't be number 1, right? So this has to be number 1 because the contribution starts just after the firing event. So this is 1, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. And 4 has the weak spot, right? Kinda. Really, now it's actually starting to look pretty decent. But when I started this cold, you can see that flat spot pretty good. So, again, I want to show you. Probably should have thrown a battery in that, but so now you can see we have cylinder number 5 disconnected, which is 1, 6, 5. And you can see that there's our spark, there's our acceleration event for this cylinder. So that's 1, 6, and 5. And 5 is a low contributor, and that's what that looks like there. So, like I said, I'm pretty impressed already with this thing, because in order to get this on a Pico, we have to run a math channel, which is difficult to do live, and we don't have to do it live on the Pico. But this, we could just have it set up live, it's running, and we could set this up on the Pico to do the same thing, or the MT Pro, or a Handtech scope, or whatever oscilloscope you have, and now you can use this to determine your misfires once you understand where your contribution events are and how that applies to your sync signal. So, I don't know, it's pretty cool, especially, you know, I started out with a snap-on oscilloscope, and one of my major complaints about it was always the lack of advanced features. Like, it's a good run and gun scope, it's a good quick and dirty test, but you can't do a lot of advanced things on it. Now they did make it so you can run ShopStream Connect on it. They did make it so you can do a lot of other things, but it's still, as far as oscilloscopes go, it's still pretty limited in its ability to, and here you can see with that misfire, the farther you zoom out, the more dramatic it looks. You could really see that you have a very low contributor there, because this is essentially the crankshaft speed in frequency, and this is the loss of contribution, and each acceleration event is each firing event for each cylinder. So, like I said, it's pretty cool that you can pull that up that fast just on a crankshaft sensor. I would say this is as fast using the snap-on scope as it would be with the MT Pro or the Pico Math channel, and really this is probably faster than the Pico Math channel. Now it doesn't give you the nice report like the MT Pro does, but for quick and dirty tests, if I just have this out and I want to run out and hook this up quick and just get a good idea of which cylinder is misfiring, because I'm working on something that has bad misfire monitors, that's going to be a very useful tool. So like I said, I'm going to cover more in other videos. I just wanted to give you kind of a first look at this thing. How, you know, the most useful everyday test is probably going to be this misfire test. If you're dealing with a vehicle that doesn't have good misfire monitors or reliable misfire monitors, this is going to be a must-have tool if you're working on stuff like that. You know, some Chrysler products, some Kia Hyundai stuff, the misfire monitors really kind of suck. So why not be able to get a live misfire readout right on your oscilloscope and not have to struggle or wait for it to set a code or something like that. You know, the more you play with that, the better you could get. Like I said, this is the first time I've turned it on, so I'll get better with it too here as I play with it. Later this week or early next week, I'll make time to hook it up to a direct injected diesel, and then hopefully, I don't see a ton of direct injected gasoline engines, but hopefully I get one in next week or this coming week, and I'll take a little bit of time, set this up so you can see the injector, the fuel pressure drop as the injector is fired using a fuel rail pressure sensor on a GDI system or a diesel direct injected system. There's a bunch of other cool stuff you can do with this, and like I said, over the next probably month or two, I'm going to do a handful of videos just showing you what's possible with this thing, because you're really, you know, once you understand what it is, you're only limited by your imagination. So we're going to see how creative we can get with this, but follow along, and if you have questions along the way, please ask, and I'll do my best to answer them. And if you see me misunderstand or misspeak, please give me an opportunity to correct it, because I don't want to be putting out false information. So if you see me put out information that's incorrect or something you don't understand, please comment and let me know how I can improve that and give you a little better breakdown. Some of these videos I'm doing in, you know, it might be a 3-minute video that I took 5 minutes to shoot. So I don't spend a lot of extra time on this stuff. It's just when I have the time, I try to do it and get these videos out to help you guys out and show you what's possible. And then you know what you can go after to learn more practice. I can't do it all for you, especially for free on YouTube. So, you know, I do offer some advanced training and classes if that's ever anything. If you're local to Wisconsin or you want to keep an eye out for my webinars, reach out, and as those come available, I'll add you to an email list. But like I said, super simple, super easy. ADDi. It is automotivediag.com. The guy that makes this tool is super awesome guy. I've met him a couple times. Super smart. He's, you know, I really hope he gets a streamlined way to manufacture these to make it so everybody can buy one, because if you own a snap-on scope, this is probably the best accessory you can buy, hands down. I'm already, for the cost of this and the amount of time you're going to save, just that one function I showed you today is, you know, worth the money in my opinion, especially for the ease of use. Like I said, it's really just hook it up, get it hooked up, set it on the mode you want. If you need to scale this, you can hold this button here and this recalibrates the scale to get you a little zoomed in tighter view in case you started this before you started the engine or something like that. So there's a bunch of neat added in features. It's a very well thought out tool. Like I said, I'm pretty impressed with it so far, and we haven't even got into the really advanced crazy stuff it does. So stick around, keep an eye out, and I will put out some more videos on this cool little tool. So thanks for watching. Have a good day.